Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the pink symbol ABN-AF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Welcome to the Goddard Report. Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Sharon Noble, Director of the BC Coalition to Stop Smart Meters. Welcome back to the show, Sharon.
Thank you so much, Jim.
How has the BC government responded to complaints and concerns about both 5G and smart meters?
Slowly. They responded very slowly. In most instances, we get no response whatsoever. We've been writing, as you know, about smart meters since 2010. That's when they first started being introduced here in British Columbia, the first time people really heard about them here. And at the time, John Horgan was very upset about the costs and the fact that there was no oversight, that the Clean Energy Act allowed smart meters like Site C to be completely freewheeling without any regulatory oversight. And since then, I've been trying to elicit his help and his concern about other issues: health, privacy, cost to the individuals. And no one seems to be safety with fires. No one seems to be concerned. And lately, John doesn't seem to be all that interested in costs either. Over the last year and a half or so, I and many members of the coalition have written to John and to Adrian Dix, who was the hydro critic, telling them about all the evidence that we've had, showing that BC Hydro's business case was faulty, had incomplete information, and that everything indicates that there is no end of costs here. And so far, I haven't heard word one about this, and I think it's something people should be very concerned about, because we're not going to see an end to it, and we're going to end up suffering the consequences for years down the road. One simple example is that, as you know, analogs, and I've said this so many times, people can probably say it before I finish my sentence, analogs have a lifespan of 30 or 40 years, and they cost nothing. You can go online and buy them for $49. Smart meters last 5 to 7 years. Hydro sold the business case on the basis that it would last at least 20 years, and that's the amortization period that they've used. But industry itself admits only 5 to 7. We've got testimony from insiders, from a VP of a utility company in the States who was before the U.S. Congress, and he didn't want to admit it, but he eventually admitted that it's 5 to 7 years. And when you think about it, these things are cheap little computers. Little computers, even expensive computers, don't last 20 years. And these are on the outside of our homes, being affected by the elements. They have to be upgraded constantly. And hydro is already replacing them. We had a recall about 2 years ago in January of 2016 of 88,000. And in the newspaper article, they admitted that on an ongoing basis, they'd probably be replacing 88,000 a year. That's probably understated, but I can't get the information from BC Hydro. And BC Hydro has also said, whenever I've seen the list, and I've asked them periodically information about how many meters they've replaced or what happens when a meter burns up and whatever, they say, well, it's covered by their warranty. So I've asked them, what is the warranty? How many years will Itron pick up the cost for replacement? They won't tell me. They say it's industry information and it's confidential. I think we have a right to this. I think we have a right to know how often Hydro is going to stand behind their defective products, and if, in fact, as Itron says, these meters should last 20 years. Certainly, their warranty should last 5 years. But yet, in 2016, January 2016, Hydro was paying for 88,000 replacements. And they were paying $222 per meter, which is higher than many of the jurisdictions in the States and other places in Canada have paid for their initial program, including the infrastructure and everything to back it up. The infrastructure and the meters initially in British Columbia cost $555. That's double and triple what most other places paid. And their replacement meters are $220. None of this makes any sense. And John Horgan, being concerned, as I know he is about the costs, needs to investigate this. And so I've been writing and I've been asking members of the coalition, I'm hoping some of your listeners will write to him and please ask for this sort of thing to be investigated as they go through the investigation and in-depth panel review of BC Hydro, which is supposed to start in January. Let's make sure that the smart meter program is included here, because these costs are never ending. If we're having to pay for a new meter every 5 to 7 years, during the first 20 year of amortization, we'll be paying for 3 meters. And this is just for the replacement, not talking about the maintenance and all of the other things that are involved.
Has the government responded to any of your concerns about 5G expanding all over the place?
Not yet. Now, of course, 5G hasn't expanded yet because we don't have it yet. But the microcells that are the skeleton for 5G is expanding all over the place. And no, we haven't had any responses whatsoever.
Why should people be concerned about them?
Well, first of all, these things are going to be outside our homes. These microcells are cell transmitters. Just like the big tall ones you see as you drive by in your car. These are cell transmitters. Now, they're not going to be as powerful, but they're closer to you. Many of these, as you drive down the street, you can see them. I have pictures, and we have pictures on our website, where they are just a few feet outside a bedroom window. These are very dangerous things, and they can hold multiple transmitters. The G stands for generation. We have 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G is coming down the road. Each iteration, each new generation uses different technologies, different frequencies. Right now, 3G and 4G are most prominent in the transmitters that are around our homes. And these, in many ways, are worse than the 5G because they use frequencies that are lower frequencies travel farther. For instance, an FM transmitter up on a radio station is in the range of about 100 megahertz or microwatts. Megahertz. I always get my terms confused. I'm sorry. And these can travel 30 and 40 miles. The other frequencies, as you get to 2.4G, 2400 microhertz or 2.4 gigahertz, these things travel shorter distances, but they can still penetrate homes. They can penetrate your body. They can penetrate buildings, strong buildings. 5G is going to be very, very high frequencies, like, 50, 60,000. And there's been absolutely no studies whatsoever on these frequencies. We know from thousands of studies that these lower frequencies are very harmful. They cause neurological problems, cardiac problems. They cause DNA damage. They reduce fertility. We know all of these things.
Well, didn't the British military ban some of these suggested 5G frequencies because they were finding they were causing cancer in their military personnel who were using those frequencies to communicate?
I think you're talking about Tetra.
Yeah.
Tetra, and I'm not sure exactly what frequencies were used from Tetra. It's very difficult I don't know for sure. I can't answer that. But I do know that the 5G has been used as military weapons. It was designed, some of the weaponry was designed to use these very high frequencies as crowd control. And it burns the skin. It makes you want to flee. And the only scientific evidence that I've seen, the only studies I've seen so far, have shown that your skin pores and the hairs on your skin can act like antennae, and it brings the frequencies into your upper level of your skin, making it feel like it's burning. Because these waves are shorter and cannot penetrate buildings and cannot penetrate the body as deeply, it will do most of the damage to your surface, your skin, your eyes, things like this. But we don't know for sure to what extent. And what everybody, all the scientists are asking is, wait, what is the rush? Let us find out in what ways these are damaging and dangerous. And the weird fact, Jim, is that these aren't needed. Many of the articles that are coming out, just came out in the last 2 or 3 weeks, in the U.S. primarily, the industry is asking, will 5G even work? Is it worth the expense? They're having to put microcells, because these things are so weak. They're putting the microcells outside our home every 100 or 200 meters. They're going to be putting on thousands and thousands of these microcells. They're fed by fiber optic cable. And this is very expensive. And the industry is now questioning whether they're going to be able to get their money back. What's it worth? And many of the experts are now saying, hey, look, we've had the answer here all along. Why are we going with 5G antenna? Why aren't we going with the fiber optic cable? Fiber optic cable can be put underground, just like electrical cable. So if your services are already underground, put it underground. You don't need to put it on a pole. It is faster. It works with light. It's twisted light cable. And it is so much more efficient. It can carry thousands of times more in data, and it can carry it so much faster, and it's also secure. It's much harder to be able to hack it. And furthermore, one major thing is, it's, as far as all the studies have shown, it's perfectly safe. It does not radiate. So why not use this? TELUS is putting it up all over the place now to feed these microcells, but they're putting it up to the poles only. And then from the poles, they're going to be shooting this 5G into our homes. Really, this is so inefficient, and we would have a much better, much more secure infrastructure for internet, and it will grow because it can carry so much more data. As the demand increases, so can, the fiber optic cables will be able to accommodate it. It just, really, from a business point of view, many people are looking at it and saying it doesn't make any sense. Now, you asked me if we've received any response from the government. No. None.
We'll have more from Sharon Noble right after the break.
Hi, I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Magnum Gold Corp. Inc., MGI on the TSX Venture Exchange. A 2015 drill program on the LH property intersected high-grade gold, including 16.9 meters of 13.58 grams and 11 meters of 20.66 grams per ton gold. A follow-up drill program is planned to further evaluate previously identified subsurface high-grade gold mineralization. Please visit our website at magnumgoldcorp.com.
Arctic Star Exploration, operated by a team of proven mine finders, is focused on diamonds in Finland and the Northwest Territories of Canada. A work program is planned for our Finland property that contains diamond-bearing kimberlite. Arctic Star trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ADD, and the Frankfurt Exchange, symbol 82A1. Please visit our website at arcticstar.ca or call us at 604-689-1799.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sharon Noble. Sharon, any response from the NDP government yet in BC to your 700-page smart meter fire report?
Yesterday, I got an acknowledgement from Minister Mungle Mangal, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, saying that she had received it and that she was waiting for the BC Utilities Commission to respond. So that was good to hear. I was very grateful to get the response, and I understand why she wants to wait to see the BC Utility Commission's response. That is that's the regulatory voice, and really, it's appropriate because my charges were laid against the BC Utilities Commission. As far as I know, the BC Utilities Commission is waiting for BC Hydro to respond, and they did already with the same junk that they've been saying for years that they believe Len Garris. They missed the point of the entire report, which is Len Garris, the chief of Surrey, who was hired by Hydro to write his report, based his entire, quote, report that he was hired to make on faulty information, on incorrect information. So Hydro has yet to acknowledge or even understand the point of the report, and BC Utilities Commission is waiting for Hydro to respond.
Well, at least there seems to be some action there. That's the one good piece of news we've heard in years.
Yeah, I was surprised, and I was very happy to receive it, and I will wait until I hear from BC Utilities Commission, and then I will expect Minister Mungle to respond.
Sharon, you have a 50-page report about people complaining about once they had smart meters installed, all they saw were higher bills.
Yep.
Do we know why?
This was written a couple of years ago. One of the members of the coalition, we've got many volunteers. We're so lucky we have so many volunteers who are helping. And this one person had took it upon herself to gather emails I sent out in the update asking people if they had seen changes in their bills, in their consumption figures, not just the bills, because as the rates increase, we all are seeing our bills get higher, but the consumption figures. And we got hundreds and hundreds of emails. And this person gathered 50 pages of them. Now this was, I think, in 2012, 2013. And so this is old information, but I thought it was timely to recirculate it again because winter's coming, and we're going to see the same problems again with people having to choose between heating their home and feeding their families. The bills have gone up so much, and I just got an email. I had put a notice in the update a couple of nights ago asking if people would let me know if they had seen anything weird like this, and one member just sent me an email saying that she had asked on her Facebook, and she had received dozens of emails back already saying that they'd seen their consumption increase 30 to 50% after they got their smart meters. The smart meters, there's something going on with the smart meters where so many people are seeing large increases in their consumption figures. Not everybody. Every once in a while I get an email from someone saying, hey, mine went down. That's unusual, very unusual. And when people see jumps of 30 to 50, even 60% in their consumption numbers, and they call Hydro and say, what is going on here? Hydro invariably has the same response. And, you know, the people who answer the phones at Hydro are not terribly well trained. They're given a list of talking points that they reiterate over and over and over again. And so the answer will be, well, did you buy something like a hot tub that you've forgotten about? Or do you have a bunch of people visiting? Maybe you had a bunch of people living with you for 3 months and you forgot about it. Stupid things like that. And, you know, they offer to come and test your meter for $100 or $125. But there's a problem here. Once they take your meter away from that meter base, it resets itself. It's kind of like rebooting on a computer, you know, or your television. If you've got trouble with your television, you reboot it, and it goes back to the factory setting. The same thing happens with your smart meter. I spoke with a couple of electrical engineers about it because I was saying so many people are sending their meters in and nothing's happening. They're all coming back perfectly clean. And I said, could it possibly be it's because it's in a different environment? I thought perhaps, and it still could be possible, that other wireless devices are interfering with it. Any wireless device can be interfered with, your cell phone.
Well, that's what I thought, and perhaps it's picking up signals from your neighbor's smart meter and adding it to your bill.
Or a deck phone.
Yeah.
It could be picking up from all over the place, and I've asked this, and engineers have told me, yes, that is possible. But so I said, so the hydro takes it in to their clean, pristine lab, and it runs perfectly. And they say, yes, but one engineer got back and he says, you have to remember, though, it needs to be tested without removing it from the meter base. This is a computer. Once it's removed from the meter base, it resets itself to its factory settings. And Hydro knows this. So when they say, well, come and take your smart meter and take it into test, they know what's happening. So, they aren't being honest with you. What they need to do is to test it on your home without touching it. And it should be done over several hours, because then you can find out how it's reacting to other signals that are around you, if it's running fast, these sorts of things. And I think I've told you before, I have had insiders at Hydro tell me that the smart meters do run fast. They admit it. They know it. But they say it's only a little bit, so that the average bill would only increase maybe $1 or $2 a billing period. Well, think about it, Jim. We've got 1.8 million smart meters in British Columbia. At $1 a month, that's a heck of a lot of money. That's $1.8 million a month. That's close to $24 million extra a year that they don't deserve, that they're stealing. This is grand theft, but we don't know it. No one has ever tested it or proven it. The only way that I know of, and maybe there's another way, but I've asked many engineers, and they say the only way to do it would be to leave it at the home and run an analog. And I don't know the term. It's either in series or parallel. You run an analog, and you measure the same thing at the same time and do a comparison. And even if it's a few cents, even if it's 50 cents a month, that's still more than they have a right to. And no one at Hydro seems to be terribly concerned about this. I've spoken to some people about it, and it's kind of like shrug. It's only $1 a month. Who cares?
We'll have more with Sharon Noble right after this.
I'm Brian Fowler, president of Blind Creek Resources Limited, listed on the TSX Venture Exchange, ticker symbol BCK. Blind Creek is focused in the Yukon, Northwest Territories, and British Columbia. The company's key property is the Blend Project, one of the largest undeveloped lead-zinc-silver deposits in Western Canada, plus plans to advance the recently acquired, fully permitted historic engineer gold mine in the Atlan District of Northwestern BC. Check us out at blindcreekresources.com.
In Goddard we trust.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sharon Noble. Sharon, you're also worried about portable radiation spraying around our communities. One source of that radiation, all those new microwave radar devices in the brand new cars.
That is one of them, yes. It's growing, all this new technology and all these new gizmos. You can't buy a car now. At least I haven't been able to find one you can buy that doesn't have, Bluetooth, iPhone, GPS. They've got those things that measure what lane you're in, all these other things. The RF is really, really extremely high, especially inside the car. The people inside the car basically are in a Faraday cage. These waves are not only hitting you once, they're hitting you several times as they bounce around off these hard surfaces. And there was a recent YouTube in my update, maybe 2 or 3 nights ago. It was called My Car is Giving Me a Headache. And it's from Sweden, but it has English subtitles. And I would suggest people go and look at it. It's very interesting. This fellow was hooked up. He had electrodes on his head, and they were measuring his reaction And initially his brain was normal and everything. Turned his car on, basically no change. Then they started turning on one electronic device at a time. We don't have that choice in our cars. They just come on. But they turned on first the GPS, then they turned on the cell phone, then they turned on the Bluetooth. One thing after another. We watched his brain go crazy. The brain waves, from going normal, the up and downs looking like normal waves, to going just to an erratic mess with the huge jumps, huge spikes, and all the different areas of the brain interfering with the other areas of the brain. This is stuff that could affect your judgment, can affect your thinking, and I ponder whether it could be responsible for some of the road rage people feel. This is something that we need to be aware of, and I believe we need to pester the car companies to at least offer a choice. Right now, if you go in to buy a new car, you can't have this stuff disabled. It's an integral part of the entire workings of the car, whether it's the key that's turned on electrically, whether it's whatever in your car that's being used. And it makes it difficult for anybody who is sensitive or who wants to avoid more exposure to the radiation. It makes it virtually impossible to buy a new car. You have to look for older cars.
Also, you're concerned about the U.S. Navy's going to start electronic warfare games again in the Victoria area?
Well, these are games like they've never had before. So when you say start them again, it's really bad. We were warned about this, a few years ago. And the people in Washington in Olympic Park, they've been fighting it, trying to get it stopped. The U.S. Navy wants to do war games that use EMR, that uses microwave radiation as a weapon. They want to be able to practice disabling their enemies' technology, so that if a plane flies over Washington, the waves would hit it and it would knock out its radar or whatever it needs to navigate, or its weaponry. This sounds fairly benign, but it isn't. This RF is going to be coming all over the place. They've got targets in the Olympic Peninsula area that are going to be moving around. They've also got ships out in the strait. And yesterday, I was finally able to get some information. The groups that have been fighting this in Washington have been going on for years, saying, first of all, the Olympic Mountains are pristine. They are historically safe. They are national monuments and they're national parks where animals are free to roam and people can go and picnic and hike and camp. This is being ruined. And the dangers are to all of the animals and to all of the wildlife, all of the foliage that's there. And also they're going to be over the water. So sea life, the dolphins, the orcas, the whales, everything is going to be endangered by this. And they've been fighting, and the U.S. Navy says, well, it's only going to be for 5 or 6 years. As if that's not much. Well, yesterday I got some details. And most of these planes are going to be out of Whidbey Island. And we know that the people, especially in the Gulf Islands, I know in Victoria, people complain about what they call the growlers. These are some of the loudest jet planes going. I know you're familiar with them, Jim. These things are very, very loud, and they're going to be growing right now. I'm just looking at my numbers right now. They said that the number of flights leaving Whidbey Island has increased since 2010 from 3,200 a year to 35,000. That's amazing. And they said that they are going to be flying 260 days a year, up to 16 hours a day, including weekends. we won't be free of these things. This is horrendous. And the Navy is going to be increasing the number of torpedoes and flares and RF things that they for dogfighting and maneuvering up to 700%. We are going to be inundated in this, and we can't escape it because the planes are going, I don't have the information here, but I had it in another document a couple of weeks ago, very low levels. So we're going to be seeing them. I haven't heard them here yet. Some people have. I've had quite a few people complain to me that they've had a lot of planes flying over them at very low levels. They were wondering what was happening. These things are going to be disrupting our lives. They're going to be exposing us, as well as those in Washington, to the high levels of RF that they're shooting off in the name of war games. And we've written hundreds of letters to our local governments, to our MLAs, and to our federal representatives, asking them to please intervene on our behalf. These planes are going to be going into Canadian airspace. They are going to be harming Canadians, and they're going to be harming our wildlife and our environment. Does our government even know about it? I don't know. No one has responded. Do they know and they just don't want to talk about it? Or have they just succumbed to the desires of the U.S. without any fight on our behalf? This is something that all of southern part of BC needs to know about. Someone in the Okanagan wrote me and said that they've been flying over that area. You know, the planes cover massive distances because they're flying so fast and so low. So it's going to affect many people in the the vast area of British Columbia.
Yes, the EA-18 and 20 Growler is based on the airframe of the Super Hornet, the F-18 Super Hornet.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a low-flying aircraft. It's not even designed to go above 20,000 feet. And so if you've ever been to the Abbotsford Air Show where the Blue Angels have shown up, that's what they fly, or the F-18s.
Yep.
That's what Canada flies in our fighter force, smaller, regular CF-18s. But being fighter aircraft, they're not governed by any noise abatement laws.
Nope. And the increase is up to 35,000 flights already. And they're projecting that that's going to double or triple during this war game period. So we could have conceivably, more than 80,000 flights. They're saying 80,000 to 130,000 flights a year. I mean, this is crazy.
Well, yeah, and what's more, it could black out those old Andy Griffiths reruns. Sharon, thank you so much for chatting with us. Is there a website people can go to get more information?
They certainly can go to our website, Jim. It's www.stopsmartmetersbc.com. And if you want to see any of my updates that I send out regularly, they're under newsletters. And you can go on there and read about any of the things that I've been talking about.
Sharon, thank you so much for being on the show.
It's always my pleasure, Jim. Thank you.
My guest has been Sharon Noble, director of the BC Coalition to Stop Smart Meters. Their website, stopsmartmetersbc.com. You're listening to the Goddard Report on TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Find us on Twitter at TalkDigitalNet. Our popular YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Questions for the show or our guests can be sent to info@howstreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. The Goddard Report is available online and mobile at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. The Goddard Report is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.